Laura Linkus, right?
Yes.
Okay, running for SAC president. So I will give it away to Jenna.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2026 Student Government Association Spring Election Debate. I'm Jenna Nicodemus, the moderator for tonight's debate, and I am the editor-in-chief of the Cento. The Cento is Center College's student newspaper written for students by students. As journalists, we are excited about this opportunity to help inform the student body impartially and to help facilitate healthy open discourse. We hope today's debate sheds some light on the candidates and their platforms for the upcoming election. Voting begins tomorrow at noon and will run through midnight on Sunday. Students will receive a personal link to the ballot in their emails, including the executive candidates, representatives, and senators for next year. The results will be announced this Monday. Tonight, we're going to start out by having each candidate introduce themselves and give their opening statements. Then we'll be posing a specific question to our presidential candidate, who will have 2 minutes to answer. We will then move to general questions, which every candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each. After that, time permitting, we'll take some questions from the floor. And then candidates will make their closing remarks, and you'll be on your way. So as always, please remember to be kind and respectful to the candidates, both during the debate and after. Thank you all so much for your time tonight. And without further ado, we are going to move into opening statements. I think we'll just start first with Logan, our presidential candidate, and you'll have 2 minutes to give your opening statement that describes your platform.
I would like to begin by thanking the Center for moderating this debate, as well as the Norton Center for being able to arrange for me to attend tonight's debate, albeit not in person, unfortunately. I would also like to thank all of you, the student body, for attending. As we know, the presidential race this year is an incredibly crowded field, and I have no doubt that y'all will have a difficult choice to make tonight. But, in all seriousness, I would like to thank you all for attending tonight's debate and keeping yourselves informed about this year's SGA elections, candidates, and their ideas. I have based my platform around 3 primary tenets: safety, accessibility, and community. To begin, safety is something I believe that has been on the minds of many in the student body this year. If SGA is going to address student safety, we must do that by listening to the voices of our student body. I want to hold more town halls with departments such as EPF and Title IX to help students better understand the work that those departments do on campus, and to likewise help those departments better understand what the needs and concerns of the student body are. Furthermore, that in order to help improve student safety on campus, our infrastructure must be up to task, which brings me to my next tenet: accessibility. I want to mobilize SGA's committees and correspondent positions to advocate for projects that improve the safety of our campus spaces and ensure that these spaces are accessible to all, such as members of the student body with disabilities or injuries. SGA has many committees and correspondent positions, and I believe it's of the utmost importance that they are maximized to their fullest potential, which is why I also want to make sure that these committees and positions are visible. We do this through using the tools at SGA's disposal, such as SGA's social media accounts, to highlight the work that SGA is doing to help educate the student body about the inner workings of SGA. Maintaining and increasing the transparency of SGA is incredibly important. And that's exactly what I believe this debate is helping to do. So I would like to once again thank everyone for their time. I look forward to talking in greater detail about my platform and answering any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, George, can you give your opening statement? You have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. I know Tuesday, Thursdays are kind of busy on campus, but I'd like to introduce myself. My name is George Faree. I'm a junior and I'm a B&B major. I'm running for Speaker of the House, and for anyone that doesn't know, the Speaker is basically responsible for running through the meeting agenda and just conducting the general parliamentary procedure of the meetings. And my approach to it is relatively simple. I have 2 main things I want to focus on. The first one is efficiency. I believe SGA can be more effective if we're efficient so that we can spend time on voting and discussing the things that really matter most. And the second thing is also transparency. And a lot of people might not know this, but anyone can just come to our SGA meetings. We have bi-weekly meetings for our general session in Young 113 at 7 p.m. usually. So you guys can come and you guys deserve to know what we're voting on and what we're discussing. And so if I can foster an environment where you feel comfortable doing that and you want to increase your engagement with our campus leaders, that's more than welcome. I'd like to uphold that.
Thank you so much. All right, Emily, if you can give your opening statement, please, you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm a first year here at Center and I'm a chem major on the pre-med track. I'm on the women's tennis team, I'm in Greek life, and I'm also on SAC, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. As George said, this role as Speaker of the House, they conduct meetings and they also work closely with SGA exec to further certain initiatives. One of the things that I'm most interested in bringing to this role is a focus on syllabi, transparency, and textbook availability. It's important that students have as much information as possible about the classes we're taking and how much our textbooks will cost beforehand. And as Speaker of the House, I'll work more closely with the President of the Senate to promote transparency and earlier release of syllabi and class materials. The other big responsibility of the position is mentoring the SGA first years. So as a rising sophomore, I'll have the unique ability to connect with the incoming class and help them get involved both inside and out of SGA. I believe that one of SGA's main roles is to promote campus cohesion, and as Speaker of the House, I will work to foster an environment that promotes cross-campus involvement in everything from Greek life to athletics to student orgs. As a first year, I was really inspired by the mentorship the current Speaker of the House, Abby, gave to me, and I'm honored to be on the stage, and I hope that I will be able to represent Center students in this role next year.
Thank you so much. Alrighty. Laura, would you like to give our last statement?
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Lucas. I'm a junior. I'm a double major in math and data science. I'm so excited to be running for Student Activities Council President to bring you all some more fun and exciting events this upcoming school year. I've been on SAC for the past 3 years, first as a general member, as our public relations and our films and performances chair. I have enjoyed my time hosting events for you all, and I love seeing the growing participation and would love to see it continue to grow. I already have so many ideas for fun events and activities for the 26 to 27 school year. In addition, I have 3 main goals I want to accomplish as this year of SAC president. The first one is increasing participation in our events through better communication with the students. The second goal is to increase student feedback and focus our events on what you all want to see. And lastly, I would love to partner more with local businesses within the community as well as students on campus. Overall, I want you all to have an awesome event that you look forward to attending. Your SAC exec team has fun putting together. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for our candidates for giving their opening statements. We are going to move into the president-specific question. So Logan, you will have 2 minutes to answer this question. All right, here's the question. Logan, you stated that the primary tenets of your platform are safety, accessibility, and community. Why do you think these 3 things are the most important things to focus on as president of SGA, rather than other things such as mental health, inclusivity, or disability accommodations, among other things? You have 2 minutes to answer.
Yes, I would like to start off by saying that I don't necessarily think all of those things are mutually exclusive. The reason that I chose those 3 tenets, safety, accessibility, and community, is that I think I think those 3 things, a lot of the issues facing our campus today can fall under. Disability accommodations, for example, I think accessibility, that's what ensuring that students with disabilities have accommodations is all about. And that's something that I really do want to focus on as president. For example, I really want to mobilize campus improvements, for example. I think that we can really work to make sure that campus improvements is advocating for and helping to fund, or helping to advocate for the funding of infrastructure projects that will help students with disabilities in on-campus accommodations. And as far as community goes, I think that that is very inclusive of issues such as mental health, for example. I think a strong community really does rely on wellness. And I think making sure that wellness is being prioritized on our campus amongst the student body, we'll work to build a community.
Very awesome. Thank you so much for answering. Now we will be moving into our all candidate questions. So everyone will be answering all of these. We'll start with our first question and you'll have 2 minutes to answer per candidate. To give Logan a break, we'll start with George and then go down this line here and end with Logan. So question 1, could you give one specific example of how you have positively impacted the student body and or Center's campus? How does this make you the most qualified candidate for your position? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I've been lucky enough to have the example of great leaders on SGA, people like Brian, who was my committee leader on the finance, and Abby, who I forgot to mention is doing a great job with speaker, and Caroline, of course. And so I owe it all to them, everything I know about it. And I will say that one specific example about the positive impact that I've been able to at least contribute on SGA is some of the things that we've done with the finance committee about doing a better job about EFRs, and we've been able to manage that situation where we've had less and communicated more with clubs up front. And a lot of the work that goes into that, because the Board of Trustees does allocate annual funds to SGA every year, and so how we manage that really does matter. And so yeah, mainly working with that, and that's kind of the niche corner of SGA. I know there's a lot of different committees like events and everything, but I would say that's where I've had my most impact.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so I think one of the main roles of speaker that I really want to focus on is the mentorship of the first years. And I think that the biggest impact that SGA has had on me personally has been Abby's guidance of us first years. And I think as someone who's involved in so many different things in center, like Greek life and athletics and a scholarship program, I think SGA has uniquely united some of us in our first year project to become some of my best friends, like Peter and Audrey and Eva Jarvie. Like, we all would not have known each other without SGA, and we wouldn't have been able to get as close as we have. And I think that for me, SGA is not a short-term commitment, it's a long-term thing. And I think being able to be in the role of speaker for the next year and then be part of SGA for the next 3 years will allow me to kind of develop that culture of unity across our campus and within SGA to make SGA as a whole more representative of the student body. And so I think that's probably the biggest impact that I hope to have, and I think it's already been started with our class.
Thank you.
This year, I got the opportunity to help plan our farmers market event. It was the first time we'd ever done this, and we reached out to the student body and asked students to come and sell whatever they make or come and share with the student body what they were interested in. And in case you didn't know, we have some super talented students here on campus. There was a student who cooked and sold food, and it was amazing. Students brought thrifted clothing and sold it, which was so cool. And so many different talents on campus, and we got the opportunity to showcase that, and I want to continue to do that through the next year with working with students and being able to highlight what you guys are so amazing at.
Thank you. Right now, Logan, you can answer.
Yes. So this past semester, my junior fall semester, so fall of 2025, I worked as a writing center consultant on campus. And in that capacity, I helped students who needed help on writing assignments, essays, anything of that nature. And it was, I think, a very impactful, the writing center, I think, is a very impactful service on our campus. It allows for very valuable peer-to-peer support, which I think is really needed. So I'd like to give them a shout out. But I think the experience also did make an impact on me because I just really like working with my peers in that capacity and helping them in any way that I can. And I'd also like to highlight too that in that position as a student worker, having that experience of what it's like to be a worker on that campus, I think that's a really needed perspective on SGA. Obviously, for the past couple of years, the issue of student wages has came up a lot, and I think it's important that when SGA is trying to advocate for student workers that they can have that perspective. So I think me bringing that perspective is important for the role of the presidency. In addition to the fact that I just think the Writing Center in general is a very valuable service.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, for question 2, we're going to mix up the order a little bit. We'll do Emily, Logan, Laura, and then George. Does that sound good? For question 2, let's see. All right. What would you identify as being the biggest problem at Center right now? How do you plan to address this issue in your role at SGA? You have 2 minutes.
I think a big issue that our campus faces is, well, I have 2 probably. I think we have issues with campus cohesion. I think there's a big divide, obviously, between student athletes and non-student athletes. There's a big divide between Greek affiliates and non-Greek affiliates. And I think something that SGA, at least in my personal experience, has done a really great job of is uniting these different communities and bringing groups of people together. Sam, please stop laughing.
Sorry.
Also, on the academic side of it, I think that it's really important that professors are transparent with syllabi so that way people know what they're getting themselves into with their classes. They know what materials they need. They know what they're going to learn. They know how hard or easy it's going to be to get the grade that they want. And I think furthering initiatives to get syllabi access earlier for students would be really beneficial, as well as having textbook costs available.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Logan?
Yes. I mean, this might be kind of cheating because it is a part of my platform, but I really do think the biggest problem on our campus right now is that I think many students don't feel safe. And we've obviously had a lot of incidents recently that have kind of led to that perception. And I've talked about that. I think that we really do need a multifaceted approach to helping to fix that issue. I talked about town halls with DPS and Title IX. And I think town halls can be really important as a way of students being able to provide direct feedback to administration, and also getting to hear back from administration and getting that perspective. I think it's important that we also do town halls that are focused specifically to these student concerns. I mean, those were just ideas that I mentioned, but I think if there is next year a very specific safety concern that emerges, I think it's important that we, have a town hall so we can have a conversation about it as a campus. I think facilitating those conversations is really important.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Laura.
I think right now our campus is really struggling with participation with one another. I know SAC has seen it firsthand with people showing up to events. And something I want to do to change this is SAC at its core is like 8 people in a room trying to come up with what the student body wants to see for the school year. But we can't always do that on our own, and bringing this more to you all and starting planning earlier. We typically have a retreat at the beginning of the school year, but starting earlier, as in now, to see what did you go to this year on campus that you enjoyed, whether it be from SAC or another club. What did you enjoy? It's also known that SAC has a larger budget than other clubs, but maybe a club has an idea for an activity that we could partner with them and would bring in participation not only from students that go to SAC events, but students that are also involved or interested in that club, and just bringing more participation directly to students than just as this organization at SAC. Thank you.
Thank you. Ready, George.
Well, Laura, you took mine because I was also going to say campus involvement. And it's funny that you asked that because we were just talking about this on the stage right before this. And I think that is something that in my time here I've noticed change is that campus involvement and engagement and things like SGA and clubs is kind of gone down a little bit. And so, I mean, as speaker, I would like to contribute to, kind of bringing that back a little bit, encouraging people to join SGA and kind of creating an environment where people do want to be a part of it and see the impact that it has. So I would say that, I mean, also there's a lot of other issues. I do think campus safety is a big thing too. And I think that increasing communication between the student body and the DPS would be a good thing too, and all of the rest of the administration. So I think those are my two big things.
Thank you so much. All right, for question 3, we'll also do a bit of a weird order. We'll do Laura, George, Logan, and then Emily. All right, question 3. Speaking of engagement, as you probably know, Center is an incredibly rigorous college, and our students are becoming increasingly busy and in many cases disconnected. How will you ensure that the student body stays engaged in campus activities and participates in building a better community? And how will you stay engaged with these busy students? Laura, you can start.
Thank you for the question. I think this goes back to what I was just talking about SAC needs to be more accessible to students and bringing it more to students, that you guys are involved and we want to hear from other clubs. We want to participate with you and we want to help you be able to put on these amazing events that you have ideas for. And everyone's busy at Center College, but I think maintaining a good schedule and time management is key within that. But really just like meeting with students, meeting with other clubs, and maybe that takes us reaching out first and reaching out to different clubs to see what do you want, what do you need help with, and how can we support the students together.
Thank you.
So I can partially identify with this question because I have an MCAT coming up soon in a couple of weeks, and I've been really working my butt off for that. And so sometimes I can see how with all the classes and everything going on the outside, it's really easy to kind of withdraw a little bit. But I would say that it's important for campus culture to remain something that people want to be active and participate in. And so it is sometimes easy to kind of withdraw to the books, and I've been there. You know, I'm relatively new to SGA. Actually, I joined at the start of this year, and it just kind of took making a change and wanting to get involved on campus, and it's really not as daunting as it may seem. And I would encourage that for anyone in here, if you want to get involved in SGA, you know, it's not super difficult to do that. You just got to pass around a paper around a few classes is the strat that worked best for me. But that's what I would say for that.
Thank you. All right, Logan.
Yes, I think that something in SG's toolbox historically that we've sponsored has been Wellness Week. And I think Wellness Week is a really good opportunity to host events, to do things that give center students an opportunity to de-stress. And I think we can also use it to give center students an opportunity to go to community building events and things of that nature. So I think Wellness Week going forward would be a really good chance for us to continue ensuring that center students are staying engaged, that they're staying healthy when it comes to maintaining a good balance between school and life outside of that. And I also think that SGA in general can do more to highlight the many student organizations that do exist on our campus and to promote their efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So similar to what Logan was saying, I think that SGA really could do a lot more in terms of highlighting individual student orgs in their events. Like, I am on communications committee, and I know we do a lot with reposting and trying our best to put those out there, but I think campus involvement is a school-wide effort, and so I think that involves SGA representatives as well as SGA exec, working with the exec boards of student organizations as well as our campus culture. I think Center is a place where everyone is really busy and wants to accomplish great things, and I think if we have an environment where it's considered fun or cool to want to go maybe sit on an SGA meeting, even if you aren't a rep, or just go to a club that you aren't into event, I think that would really help with our sense of community and involvement.
Thank you. All right. Since we're good on time, is it okay if I do a bonus question? All right. So, over the past semester, students have been expressing discontent with a variety of things, which for the most part is nothing new, but tuition, meal plans, access to heat and water, AC and more, these things crop up. And this has also been a very eventful academic year. We've had a bomb threat, we've seen a car accident, there have been multiple incidents of hate speech and so on and so forth. So when the student body suddenly has things crop up, how will you weather the storm? And how will you make sure that students have their needs heard? We can start with the same order we did before. Logan, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think the most important thing in situations like this is, number one for me as president is that I'm listening to the student body and I'm talking to my peers about how they feel, what these things are making, like how they're responding to these things, and making sure that I'm taking their feedback on what they would like for me to be doing in my role as president and what they would like for SGA to be doing. And I also think it's really important that in my capacity as president and also just for SGA in general, that we're very vigilant and we're willing to, persevere. We're willing to, send this on to administration, make sure that administration knows, how the student body, how specific students are feeling on a certain issue. And we keep pushing that the student, how the students feel, what the students' voices are on a particular issue, making sure that is heard. So I think in this respect, I think it's very important in my role as president that I'm being an advocate for the students.
Thank you. George?
So that is a great question. I think that the best way to, in this idea of, things not being the way we want them to, and these like recurring themes where, problems happen on campus. I mean, I've been here for 3 years, so I definitely know like things like housing usually rub people the wrong way. But I think the best way to combat things like that is kind of the student leadership on campus and everyone getting involved in SGA representing a wide variety of different groups on campus, so whether that be sports or Greek life or clubs or everything. If every kind of group on campus and every niche, thing going on can have their views represented on SGA, that is probably the most effective way to avoid these problems and to address them when they come up. But in our current state, I would say, everyone on SGA and especially the exec team and all the work they put in, I would say everyone doing their part to listen to the voices of the students and to accurately represent that should things arise.
Thank you.
So this is actually a really interesting question because just a couple of weeks ago, SGA actually met with Anthony Jones, head of the ODI, and we talked about the recent loss center experience on their campus, as well as a lot of these other issues. And we talked about the connection between admin and students and what we can do, or what they can do to make these events better on us. A lot of the opinions, at least expressed by the people that were there at SGA that day, talked about sending more sincere emails, first of all, from admin about these events, because these are heavy topics. But we really focused on providing resources to students. And I think we talked a lot about how professors are typically very understanding and kind when talking about these things. And they will make extensions, and they will hold extra office hours, and they will do all these things that will make these difficult times better. But I think just being transparent with admin and students and like letting them know how we feel. And I think as a student government, if we have that communication with them, that gives them insight as to how they are going to conduct operations in order to make the student body handle the whole situation better overall.
Thank you.
I think this question applies to the other candidates on stage more than it does to me, but I think in this time, the most important thing that SAC can do is to continue to promote uplifting campus culture, to remind students why we love Center and the things that we can do. One of my favorite events is Boardwalk Bash. It's really just a time everybody walks past the campus center sometime between 5 to 8 p.m. and there's people outside, there's people spending time together, students getting to know each other that didn't know each other before. And I hope that SAC can still be something that just promotes the reasons why we still do love Center College and want to be here on this campus.
Thank you so much. And thank you for humoring me. Well, I think now we're going to move to taking questions from the floor. Students can ask a question of all candidates, and if you have a specific candidate in mind that you want to ask a question to, that's fine too. Yeah, go ahead.
As a this is mostly to the Speaker of the House candidates. Sorry, Logan. Sorry, Laura. As a former Speaker of the House, the role is constantly communicating with the president and other exec members and also the representatives and just handling whatever happens in the moment, because you can run a meeting, but whatever happens during that meeting, you might not be able to predict all the time. How do you as a leader handle surprises? How do you handle things that are going to be fraught in a sense where you don't necessarily know how it's going to happen? How do you handle adversity and these sorts of challenges where you're going to come in knowing some things but not know everything? Because that is what this role largely does.
Thank you for your question, Sam. I would say what I'm going to do, should I be elected for this position, is definitely two things. One, try and be prepared for every meeting. And since it looks like our president has already decided here, working with Logan closely on, talking about, what's on our agenda for today and what kind of things are we going to be discussing. And also just understanding that, you're not always going to have the answers. I think sometimes that's why we have discussion. You don't exactly know how SGA is going to feel about certain things, but being open to that and kind of letting things take their course in terms of what kind of comments do people have to say and how do people want to vote on these matters.
Yeah, I think there can definitely be times in SGA where things do not go as expected. But I do think in times of adversity, the most important things to do are to, one, not make any decisions until you have all your information, but two, in a broader sense of SGA, I think us making decisions as a whole and not just one person saying something, because the speaker, yes, you're the one at the podium, you're the one talking, but you don't have all the power and you're not just in charge. SGA is a collective. And so I think when something goes wrong or there needs to be a decision that would affect either the whole student body or just all of SGA, I think you'd need to consult with other members of exec and work closely with Logan, as well as all the other committee chairs, the Senate, everyone, before you can make an informed decision.
Thank you. Do we have another question?
I do.
Yeah.
So I want to readdress to your question or your topic of hate speech. I think there has been a large increase of hate speech on campus, and I also believe that there has been a lack of conversation with you guys speaking lately, and I do think it's important to see how you guys will hold yourselves accountable within your positions to ensure that the campus is safe, especially for people of color, rather than just solely speaking on issues related to how can people be more involved within activities and stuff, just because people of color don't feel safe all the time when we're not the main focus or we're not addressed. So I want to know how you guys will hold yourself accountable within your positions to make sure that everyone feels safe with it.
Okay, so that was a great question. I also am a person of color on Center College campus. This was a topic that was also heavily discussed when we met with Anthony Jones at ODI, but also when we met with John Parent, the Title IX coordinator. We talked a lot about how hate speech, as well as other Title IX allegations and all these, sensitive cases and topics have been an issue at Center this year. And we talked about how we can't really do anything as an SGA without meeting with admin first, because these are students' real lives and these are events that harm real people and they go in real people's records. And so SGA can't really do anything in terms of us besides hold each other accountable, but we talked a lot about reporting, because if you want real change done, especially with things that can have legal consequences, that has to be handled by admin. And we talked about making reporting these problems more accessible. And so we talked about we asked how many people knew how to even report a Title IX thing, and most people in SGA didn't know. And so having flyers up, having more talks about it during orientation week for the first years, having more meetings and discussions, and making these topics less taboo and more open on campus, I think would really, really contribute to at least lowering these cases and making them more aware. And then just in terms of us in SGA, I think it's something that's highly looked down upon, obviously, but I think we do a good job of, if there's been something going on campus, we discuss it and we talk about how we can move forward as an SGA and set an example to lead better to limit these cases in the future.
First, I just want to thank you for your question. I know it's not always easy to talk about things like that, but I think that a concrete first step is I think that the system for bias reporting is actually not great. And from when we talked about the representative from the ODI office, how that process is very convoluted and not easy, that's probably something that we need to change right now. And I don't think that's acceptable. And I think also that when we're dealing with things like hate speech or prejudice on campus, it starts by upholding a standard and making it even more clear, but now more than ever, now that we have seen things arise, is that we do not stand for this. And really that comes a lot from the way that campus, SGA or not, talks about these issues and the discourse surrounding it. So it really starts, I think it starts from the bottom up, honestly, and that's something that we can all do, and we need to do a better job about that. So thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think that through Student Activities Council, as I've mentioned, we do want to partner with more clubs. And I don't know if anyone in this room is involved, but I want to give a huge shout out to Brother to Brother. The events that you guys have been putting on are absolutely incredible. And as a SAC member, I'm jealous. Like, your participation is amazing. Your events look so fun. And there are so many other clubs out there that are doing things and bringing a lot of different groups of people together that I don't think that we are right now. And so as I mentioned earlier, partnering with students is something that I want to do. And number one on my list is I would love to do an event with Brother to Brother and other organizations like them.
Thank you. Logan, did you want to answer?
Yes, I do want to answer this. I think the approach that SGA took after, unfortunately, one of the instances of hate speech this past semester, but I think the approach that SGA took, sponsoring a resolution with one of the organizations on campus, which was a target of that speech, I think that is the approach that I would like, that I think we need to take in the future, is that SGA partners in advocacy with the groups that are affected by this kind of speech. And I think it is very important to express that we must not tolerate that on our campus. I, in my capacity as chair of student affairs, have brushed up a lot on policies on campus speech. And there's a very, there's a fine line between some of the speech that we have seen that is hateful on our campus. That there's a very fine line between that and what is allowed under a very robust speech policy. Speech that demeans, speech which is violent. There's no room for tolerance in that in our policies, and it is the role of SGA to make sure that we are advocating that that should be upheld.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the question. We have another question? Gosh, another question. Can I speak? Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Radasa Betas. I'm a sophomore here. I have a question specifically for Emily. You mentioned that you're like a woman of color. The second question that Jenna, was your name? Yes. That Jenna asked was talking about how to bring involvement onto Center's campus. I want to ask you, how are you going to bring involvement with different organizations? This kind of also goes along with Juliana's question, where it was, how are you going to bring involvement with the Latina Club, the Black Student Organization, Center Pride Alliance, and maybe even some religious clubs?
Yeah, okay, I really appreciate that. So I actually am a New Horizons scholar, and so diversity is a big initiative of our program. Our program has had a time because we've had a switching of ODI directors, and there's been a lot going on in that office. But I'm staying on as a peer mentor for next year, and we've talked a lot about what we can do in light of all the events that have happened this year, and what we can do to increase like awareness of these events on campus, but also to just unite like ethnically diverse communities. And I think like I go to a lot of the BSO events. I went to the cookout at the beginning of the year, and I think having these events where it's not just come because you're of this diversity, but come and hang out and come be united. And I think having a campus culture that rewards that, and having events where you can get free food and you can go hang out with all these different communities. And I think that's a big initiative of the New Horizons program next year, is something that would be really, really beneficial.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
Why is smoking on campus illegal? I mean, everybody smokes weed, everybody drinks.
Thank you. Your name's Juan, right? Thank you. You're a great piano player, by the way, Juan. I respect your work. That is a great question. I don't really think that SGA gets to decide that directly, but if that idea gains enough traction, we can talk to the school administration about it and talk to DPS. And your voice is heard.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really, really passionate about this, you can go to SGA. I mean, this is what it's all about. Every single person gets a voice and they get to be represented. So if you want a petition or you want to try and sponsor legislation or something, you can go in front of SGA and try and get that approved.
Logan, would you like to answer? You don't have to.
Oh, just the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the question was, why is marijuana illegal on campus? Is that right? I think,
No,
yeah.
smoking cigarettes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's a smoke-free campus.
I see. Okay, yes. Why is smoking not allowed on campus? I'm so sorry. Misrepresenting the question. I'm so sorry. Okay, yes.
I do apologize. I don't believe there's much I can say on this. That's a little outside of my scope.
Alrighty. Any other questions? Yes.
I feel like from what I've heard for students is that a lot of them feel like that people aren't, I guess, facing consequences when there are people who do maybe have a Title IX allegation against them, or there are people who are talking about like health groups for actively harming others. They aren't getting consequences or at least anything more than like a slap on the wrist, and they're still able to go on and do these things continuously. And it's almost like a not so secret where it's like everyone knows who it is that's doing these things and yet nothing is happening about it. So what will you do as a part of SGA to try and bring justice to people who feel like they aren't getting that from people who hurt them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that starts with a point I made a few minutes ago about the bias reporting. Definitely improving that system for that, and also increasing the influence of student judiciary is definitely a step in the right direction too. I think that this is definitely an important issue that SGA will go into next year and hit the ground running on progress we can make on this. I think that for people to face consequences, I think that SGA definitely needs to put pressure on the people that are responsible for making these decisions and do our best to express and represent the needs of the student body and their interests in this.
Yeah, so going back to what we were saying earlier, SGA cannot take formal legal action against these things. That's just not a power that we have. That's above us, that's the law. And so I think the most we can do is make reporting more accessible, because I think if students really want change and they want something to be done about this, it has to go above us. And so what we're doing is trying to make that bias reporting process less convoluted, make it easier to report, inform students, let them know that you can remain anonymous, and just let them know their resources and make it easier to access them. And I think that's something we're working on currently in SGA, and it's something we'll further in the future.
Yes, I think as SGA, SGA is made up of students on this campus. We are all peers. And I think Center is a small campus. Things get around. I think in SGA, it is our responsibility to not stay silent about things which we experience. things that we know about. And I think it's our responsibility to act. And I'd like to reiterate what I said earlier, that I think it is the role of SGA to listen directly to students who are affected by that kind of behavior and to advocate for them. And I think the first thing that starts with is not staying silent when these things do happen and being willing to stand up about it.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more audience question. Someone has a burgeoning question. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I was just wondering, how do you guys plan to retain first year involvement for next year and ensure that the incoming class wants to stay next year?
That's a great question. So me personally, I didn't join SGA as a freshman. I joined this past semester, but I think that one of the things is, as speaker, actually you work with the first years on, and you kind of serve as a mentor for them. So I think that ensuring that they have a positive experience with SGA, which I personally have had, and I think a lot of people have had. So I think kind of just upholding that standard for SGA, that we want to foster a community where you actually enjoy showing up, and it's really not too serious of a time commitment depending on what your position is, but definitely not for a general rep. So it is something that's fun, and I think that you also have to be able to get people to join as freshmen too, and so kind of demystifying that process. So you print out this paper and you get your signatures and everything. So I think that those are just a few ways to kind of make sure we uphold that involvement.
Yeah, like George said, I think mainly this can be done by the Speaker of the House through the first year project. And for me, since I'm a freshman, the incoming class, I'll be with them for the next 3 years. And so I'll get to work with, if I was speaker, I'd get to work with them throughout the next year on their project and serve as a mentor and try to provide guidance. But more than that, I get to work with them for years and years to come. And so I think working with them for such an extended amount of time and building that long-term relationship would really help, and trying to influence them to do the same for the class below them.
Laura, do you also want to answer?
So whenever first year students come to Center College, we have our orientation week, and SAC is involved with planning the events for that week. And I don't think a lot of students know that. And I don't think we get our name out there a lot or get very much credit for casino night, the block party, and different activities that we put on during orientation. And I think it would be really important this year to try to advertise that and just throw the name SAC out there, that students are more aware of what we're doing because they see it firsthand as soon as they get on campus. As well as I would love to work with FYC to see if, there's the Find Your Center, the adventure, and you can go to a TED Talk or you can go to a convocation or different things and write about that. But I would like to see if there's a way that a SAC general session or an SGA general session could be part of that as something that you can go to and say, hey, I went to this and this is what I learned from it, and now I want to be involved in SAC because I thought it was really interesting that they're planning this event.
Thank you. Logan, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would. I myself have been on SGA since the first semester of my freshman year. And looking back to my time as a freshman on SGA, I was honestly just really excited to be on SGA. I was excited to have that ability to affect policy on that level. And I think it's really important that SGA continues to nurture that desire that I think a lot of first years on SGA have. If there's a first year that wants to sponsor a resolution supporting that, I think it's really important that we make the first year students on SGA feel like they do have a voice. And I mean, there's other outlets too. The first year project, that was something I was involved with my freshman year. And I think that's a really important way for the first years to kind of demonstrate what they're able to accomplish.
Thank you. All right, to close out tonight, we're going to have every candidate give their closing statement. They'll have 2 minutes at most to do this. Let's see. Maybe we'll start backwards. Laura, do you want to start?
The entire Student Activities Council is a group of hardworking students who work to bring you all the best events possible. As the only candidate for SAC president, I am beyond excited to start planning with my team for next year's calendar, and I hope to see you all at our events next year. Please feel free to reach out to me with any suggestions for next year's calendar, especially if you're in the room and you have a club or you have an idea for an event next year. Please let me know, and I look forward to seeing everyone at SAC events in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you all for your time tonight. I hope that you've all learned a little more about each of us on stage. For me, this role is about bringing the campus together, especially the incoming first years. Mentoring the first years is one of the things that drew me to this position, and it will be one of my main priorities as speaker to promote a more connected campus culture. I truly believe that one of SGA's chief responsibilities is to represent students from across campus, and I am committed to promoting a more connected campus community as part of that mission. I've also talked today about how important it is that students have textbook and syllabus information as they choose classes, and I hope to collaborate with the Senate to make this a reality. SGA has brought me closer to my peers and connected me with people I would never been able to have worked with before. And that is why I'm running to represent each and every one of you for Speaker of the House. I hope that today I've earned your confidence in your vote for Emily Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming tonight. I'll be brief here. In my 3 years at Center, I've had a great experience. There's been a lot of highs, there's been a lot of lows, but I think through it all, I've learned a lot, and I'm ready to give back to this campus and share my knowledge with you. In the Speaker of the House position, transparency and efficiency are my two platforms. And if you guys have any questions for me, just send me a DM or something, or just say what's up around campus. But I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Logan, would you please give your closing statement?
I would like to focus now on the final tenet of my platform, communities. As overly sentimental as it may sound, I mean it when I say I wish I could be in person on that stage right now, talking to all of you all. The community that Center fosters, I believe, is our greatest asset as an institution. And I also think that the call Center's community is simply a great asset would be a gross understatement. Center's community is something that I want to fight for and that I want to strengthen. As chair of student affairs, I worked with our campus's diverse, wide array of clubs and student organizations. On Center's campus, there's over 70 different clubs and student organizations. These organizations represent a variety of identities, interests, passions, and convictions. I think this is no better example of how there's something for everyone at Center. And I want that to continue to be the case. I think Center's strength is in the fact that there is such a diversity of identities, interests, passions, convictions, values. And I want to ensure that going forward, Center is a place where everyone feels free to express that, to express who they are, what they believe, without fear of retaliation or violence. And I don't have all of the answers to how we can move forward to make Center a place where that is the case. But I know I'm not the only person on this campus who does want to work towards that. So I want to promote Center's community, and I want to work to strengthen it. To conclude, I would like to once again thank everyone who came tonight's event. If you have any questions for me, or even ideas, or you just want to talk, do not hesitate to reach out. Distance aside, thousands of miles aside, I'd love to talk more with any of you all, and I look forward to being back on campus so I can have some of these conversations in person. Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you. All right, thank you all so much for your time tonight and for coming out. As we close out, I just want to remind you that voting begins tomorrow at noon tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon tomorrow? It will be at noon tomorrow. You will receive a personal link to the ballot in your email, so be on the lookout for that. And voting will run through midnight on Sunday and conclude, will be announced on Monday. So thank you all again. Have a great night.